In section 4.6, we talked about constructing equations, which is a review over sections 4.1, and we talked about interpreting rate of change and interpreting initial value. So before we start on the homework, let's go over a few concepts. The first concept is, how do we write the equation? Okay, your equations always start off with y equals your rate. So the number that we found for our rate goes next. You put the x value, a plus sign, and then this is your beginning value, okay? Your rate, in order to find that, you take your pattern for your y's and divide it by the number for your pattern for your x's. And your beginning value is your y value when x is equal to 0. So in order to find your beginning value, you go backwards in your pattern. So if we look at that first problem, it says the graph shows the distance Jeffrey is from a water fountain after a certain amount of time. Find and interpret the rate of change and the initial value. Jeffrey travels 2 feet every second. So notice how I don't have a table of values provided for me, so I can just write that in and create one myself. So my x value, or my x-axis is time, my y-axis is distance. I can look at the table, or I can look at the graph, and I can easily get 3 ordered pairs off of this graph. The ordered pair 3 for time and 8 for distance. The ordered pair 4, 10. And the ordered pair 5, 12. Okay. Once you have your table, it's easy for you to find your rate. Your rate is your pattern for your y's over your pattern for your x's. Now, my y's are increasing by 2 every time, and my x's are increasing by 1 every time. So triangle y over triangle x is 2 over 1, which simplifies to 2. Now, in order to find your beginning value, you have to go backwards in your table. If I go backwards in my pattern, I will get subtract 1, and I get 2, 6. You got to go backwards again, and you get 1, 4. And you go backwards one more time, you get 0, 2. So your beginning value is your y value when x is 0. Well, when x is 0, my y value equals 2. Okay. So now you go to your equation. Y equals my rate, x plus my beginning value. So we have y equals my rate, which is 2, x plus my beginning value, which was also 2. From there, we want to interpret the rate of change. When you interpret the rate of change, so I'm going to write that over here, interpret rate, you want to put your y-axis label first. You want to insert the word per, and then you want to insert your x-axis label. Okay? This will help you create your sentence for what the rate means. So my rate, or my triangle y over triangle x, was equal to 2. So this means 2, the label that my y-axis has is time in seconds. So that's going to be 2 seconds per, my x-axis label is distance, which is in feet. So interpret the rate of change. This is 2 seconds per foot, or 2 seconds per foot. Okay. Now your initial value was also 2. And your initial value, okay, you want to use the phrase, you want to use the word initially, the number that is your initial value, and then your y-axis label. So initially, how many, and then whatever your y-axis label is. So interpret the initial value. Initially, my value for that was 2, so initially 2. My y-axis label is feet, So he's initially 2 feet, and then the problem is talking about how far he is from the water fountain. So he's initially 2 feet from the water